Welcome to the Bible 360 podcast. As always, I am your host, Keaston France, and you are tuned in to Let's Talk About It, the third installment, the very last installment, maybe, depending on how this goes, of this series. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I have a very amazing brother in the building with me today. Though we may be kindred in profession, we are most definitely kindred in spirit. Mr. Chris Tomberlin, I really appreciate you for taking time out of your busy day to sit down and talk to me about how to find victory in the valley.
Yeah, man.
You know, we've all been at our lowest points in life. How we respond when we're there.
Yeah.
Right. Really matters. Who do we go to?
For sure.
So anyway, man, how you doing?
Great, man. Glad to be here. Super thankful and gracious that you asked me to be a part of your show, to be a part of your ministry. I think it's a great thing that you're doing. I think God's blessed you tremendously to give you this desire to lead and to take this and to make it what it is. So it's awesome to see.
Well, when God tells you to move, we have to move.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So most definitely I'll mirror that. Glory to him. Like I've spoken with you before, it's not my show, it's our show, and it's for God's people. So anyway, let's get into it. It's been a pretty good few episodes thus far. The last two guests I had has really blessed my spirit, and I'm pretty sure it's blessed many of the listeners. Some of the things we've mentioned is how to find victory in the valley. Do we have to search for victory in the valley? What do you think? Do we have to search for victory in a valley, at our lowest point?
Personally, I don't know if we necessarily have to search for the victory. Sometimes the victory is put right in front of us.
Wow.
And sometimes there are situations where you do have to really dig and work and try your hardest to find where God is sending you and where he's calling you to go, because it's so easy to get caught up in the distractions. It's so easy to get caught up in the things that, it hurts our flesh. So, one thing that I was reading recently was in 1 Peter 5 was saying that, to be sober-minded and be watchful. Yeah. Like, you got to have that right mindset in every scenario, especially in your valleys, because he tells us right here that the devil prowls around like a roaring lion. Yes. And he will destroy anything. I mean, he will find that kink in that armor. Yep. And he will dig in as hard as he can to try to get us distracted. So
and don't think he's not studying us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it's our duty to understand him as well, because he's studying us every day. Absolutely. I mean, we both come out of the sports world. Yep. Stick and ball, that is. Yep. And we studied our opponent, right? Absolutely. And he's studying us. Yep. And so if he sees an area in our armor that's soft, weak, or if we don't put on that helmet of salvation, that breastplate, right, he's coming for that. Yeah. He's coming hard. So, but that puts things into perspective, because again, with me, whenever I've thought of a valley or thinking of a point in my life where I'm at the bottom or at my lowest, I never thought it was a benefit in being there. Mm-hmm. That's just me. Yeah. Right. But one thing I've researched is when naturally in a valley you have peace, there's vegetation,
there's life,
there's plenty of life there are rivers flowing, there's things in the valley that would nourish us, right?
There's things in the valley you sometimes wouldn't find on the mountaintop,
right? So a couple things from the last episode with Chris Schumann, his name is Chris too. We brought up some pointers of like, man, sometimes we may want to search for a valley. Yeah. Because at the top of a mountain, you will find some things that may, I guess for a loss of a better term, be not as good, right? Very fleshly. At the top of a mountain, I guess to put it into our realm, you'll find a lot of carnal mindedness. Sheesh, I'm botching some words today. No, you're good. You'll find jealousy. Yeah. You'll find hatred. You'll find things that, if you're not prepared, would knock you off of your feet. Yeah. Definitely. You'll find people that'll try to hurt you and wouldn't care a thing about it. So at times you would need to search for a valley. Yeah. But anyway, let's hop into some things about you, man. Okay, sure. I know we spoke a little bit. One point that you made a couple of days ago or last night or whenever we spoke was being patient with peace. Yeah. Yeah, something along the lines of that. And that kind of hit me, because patience, I've gotten a lot better in recent years, but patience has been a thing that I've struggled with.
For sure. Me too, man.
And so, but there's also a testimony that I want you to speak about, if that's okay.
Absolutely. I would love to.
And it's very similar to Schumann's testimony. Okay, but cool. When you told me about it, how you described it to me, it had a way different lesson involved.
Okay.
So I'm excited to hear it, and I know the listeners are too. And then,
hopefully I can repeat it the same way, man.
It's just, hey, just let God use you.
Absolutely.
Again, by this point, you guys probably know my testimony. I'll say a little bit of it, go over a little bit more of it when my man Chris here is done. But I just really want to focus on yours because it
Sure.
blessed my life. So
yeah, I would love to. So obviously this is just, a part of my life. It's not my entire testimony.
Yeah.
I've given my testimony a few times. Most recently was I go to Beulah Baptist Church in Statesville. Our Parker French, the youth group leader over there, asked me to share my testimony with the youth group. Over 100 plus kids, continuing to grow. Man, that ministry is awesome. It's strong. God is moving in this church, and it is great to see. So I gave my testimony to those guys, and was a huge blessing. Was so grateful for the opportunity. Before that, I gave it to a small study group that we had at the church. It was called Young Pros, and we got to get around. Everyone met up during the week to kind of break up, the stress of the job or whatever may have you. And we called it Testimony Tuesday, and we started that up. And each Tuesday, everybody would go around and give their story, man, and see how God used them in their own life. And it was a really, really awesome experience. I think there's an importance of being vulnerable. I think there's an importance of being transparent with your other brothers and sisters in Christ. And I think that is how you grow. And I think that's how you take the next step in that relationship that you have with your brothers and sisters. So, but yeah, let me dive in real quick. So the valley that I've been in, and currently I would say still probably in, is been going on for the last 2 years. My wife, Kelsey, and I have been struggling with infertility. And throughout these last 2 years, we've been pregnant 3 times.
Yeah.
Our first pregnancy, we lost a child in the first trimester in a miscarriage. Our second pregnancy, we lost twins in a first trimester miscarriage. And our most recent pregnancy, we lost another single child in a first trimester miscarriage. So it has definitely been a big struggle as a husband to see your bride, the woman that you love the most on this planet, besides the Lord, obviously, but to see her struggle and go through this thing, and to see, motherhood so close, but it be taken away is so hard to witness. And I've had my flesh take over where I was, angry at God. I was questioning why us, why me, why is this going on? But as I've been going through this and doing my best to dive into the Word continually through the struggle, to see, God, what are you trying to do with this? What is your reason behind it? Because I know there is. And I know that He's going to use it for His good and His glory, and we will see that. But yeah, I'm trying, like I said, I've been trying, to figure that out. And one thing that I feel is important to see is what we were just talking about, the patience. Yeah. And how we can use that for good. And I was telling Kelsey recently, and I mentioned to you the last time we spoke, was I reflected back in the Bible, and actually it was awesome because I heard it on the radio not too recently. And I was like, man, this is, Holy Spirit, you're talking to me right now, ain't you? Yeah. So they were saying something like this, so Moses had to wait 40 years leading the Israelites to the promised land. Mm-hmm. That's his moment of waiting.
But I want to, maybe I shouldn't cut you off.
No, you're good.
But I want to say this too about that situation. And
yeah.
I know you know it just as well as I do, and some of my listeners may know. I think that also is a sermon on faith, and it works probably exactly what we're going to talk about, what we've been talking about, because they were right there.
They were right there.
And they lost faith. They were telling Moses, hey, we'll go back to Egypt.
Yeah.
If we got to do this. They were getting fed.
Yeah.
Right. And they were still complaining. They lost faith in God's servant, ultimately God Himself.
Absolutely.
And so some of the people died, right? Just naturally, never got to see the promised land. Yep. And Moses, help me remember, Moses didn't either, because it was Joshua.
He was right there.
He was right there.
He died right there before they.
I don't think he lost faith. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Chris. Just knock me out if I do.
No, man, you're good.
He didn't necessarily lose the faith, but it also brings us to the point of we have to be careful who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
That might be another series, guys. I don't know, but
I like it.
But yeah, they lost faith and they never got to see them. Their offspring.
For sure.
Really. So anyway, keep the faith, but all right, continue.
No, you're good. Yeah. So Moses, Israelites waited 40 years, as they were traveling to find the promised land. David was told at 15 years old that he was going to be king. he had to wait another 15 years. He wasn't king until he was 30.
Yeah.
Rebecca and Isaac waited 20 years before conceiving and having children.
Right.
And Sarah and Abraham, they waited 40 years before Isaac. So one thing that I was, me and Kelsey were talking about is the focal point is oftentimes that the wait. But we also need to see that the promise of God was still fulfilled in every single one of those scenarios, regardless of time. So that just goes to show how great his faithfulness to us is. And his timing for all of that was absolutely pinpoint perfect. So that brings joy to my heart to think about. I mean, it makes me want to cry, because that is just so reassuring that how much he loves us and how good God is. And I know in my heart of hearts that, in this time of waiting, he is moving mountains in any situation anybody has, the valley that you're in. Just because he's not, or you feel that he's not listening, or you feel that he's not present or there, doesn't mean he's not behind the scenes moving mountains for you and making a way. And whenever you find that mountaintop, it's going to be the perfect timing. It's going to be exactly when you're supposed to get there.
Yeah, and he may also, my mother always tell me, he may be protecting all from something. He may be protecting you from something. In the valley, you find protection. Even though it's the bottom of high places, you find protection there. You don't know what he may be protecting you from, right? I tried so hard, right? I interned with the team in college, and I was so hell-bent on getting into NASCAR, right? But I wanted to do it in my time, okay? And he went on there and let me get in it a little bit, and it ended up, when the storm came, I didn't know what to do. And it was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
But there were some things I saw that he was protecting me from at that point, but he allowed me to go ahead and go and do what I wanted to do in my time. And he had to teach me a lesson. God always teaches. I tell people that. God always teaches. And so he may be protecting you from something. If he has you waiting, he may be keeping you from dangers that you do not see.
Yeah.
And it may not be physical dangers of this earth. Right? We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and things we can't see spiritually.
Yeah.
You can get spiritually destroyed as well.
Absolutely.
So we have to be careful of that, especially if you try to force something before it's time.
Yeah.
Right. But
for sure.
Keep it going. I have a habit of cutting you off, man. It's
all right.
We're just going off each other here, man, and I love it.
But yeah, I agree with that. And I think that being, like we were just talking about, surrounded by those people, those right kind of people, the iron sharpens iron. They help you. They love on you. They encourage you. Where was it? Oh, yeah. So in 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak. Mm-hmm. Paul tells Thessalonians right there.
Yeah.
Like just easy stuff that we can do as brothers and sisters, to be patient with them all. And to love on each other. And I think that's so important, to be surrounded by those group of people. And that's why, I'm so thankful that, God worked in your life to come here. Because I don't know if we would ever, I'm sure we would have came across each other, but to create the relationship so quick, to meet and to share our faith together, I think that's awesome. And I think that's a part of his plan for both of us, to have this interaction, to have this friendship start off.
And that started from the top, really, because when I met Coach Ray, honestly, Coach Ray saw my Twitter handle, Friends for Christ, and he had to bring me in the building, and that was nothing but God.
Absolutely.
Who moved there. And one of the first conversations we had, within the conversation, we were sharing our faith.
Yeah.
And no offense to where I was at the point, the former team I was with, who helped me a lot, I can't say I had that type of relationship. And it makes a difference, right? Mm-hmm. God doesn't force us to follow him. I wasn't looking down on these people that, they didn't believe like I believe. You don't have to, but it changes the atmosphere, right? When you have people on your team, especially from the head down, that understand your faith and are believers as well. Yeah. It just changes the atmosphere. I laugh, man, because it's so interesting. Even after being fired, the next step, like the next teams I went to, the spirit was just so different because God was there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he has been trying for the last 2 years to get me to that environment, but I had been pushing it away for something that I could see. Losing faith in something maybe I can't see, right? We believe in him.
Yeah.
We can't see him. We can't touch him in the face, right? Yeah. Why can we not believe in what he can do for us that we may not be able to see at this current time?
Oh, yeah.
And so he had to push me out of the nest so I can see. And that's the beauty of being in his will, too. He'll let you work, operate in your own deal, but eventually he's going to be like, all right, son, this is what I have for you. You're going to learn the hard way today. I've tried to give it to you the easy way. Like I tried to create a doorway out of escape for you, the easier way. Yeah. But since you want to make it hard on yourself, okay, we'll make it hard, and you're going to see what I have for you.
Yeah.
As my child.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to follow me. If you don't, then go ahead, right? Go your way. But if you're going to follow me, we're going to make this thing work my way. Yeah. His way is going to prevail. Yeah. His plans are going to prevail. His timing is going to prevail over ours. We can plan. It's in the Bible. This is biblical. Paraphrase, but close. We can plan as much as we want, but it's his plan at the end of the day that's going to prevail. And we'll come to find out that it's much better for us. His way.
Always.
And I had to learn that.
Always.
I had to learn that.
Circling back around, I've been trying to see, Lord, what is the purpose of this? Like, what are you using this for? And, I don't necessarily have an answer yet, and I might never have an answer. Yeah. But me and Kelsey have come to the realization that, if our story, if this valley, if this struggle in our life right now can be used to glorify God and can change a life, change a heart for him, it will all be worth it. Yeah. And that sends me to Isaiah 6, chapter 8. Whom shall I send? He stood up and said, send me.
I'll go.
Use my story.
Yeah.
Lord, use me. Use our struggle to glorify you. And I think that's where we're at.
I'm glad you bring that up, because even in our worst times, we have to remember that we can still use that to be a blessing to someone. Because I certainly wasn't thinking that when I was at my lowest point. Yeah. I didn't think anyone wanted to look at me and look at my situation. Yeah. The people who are too much in the world, and we have to pray for them, right? They're going to laugh and maybe talk about us, this, that, and the third, but never know you may be touching. So you have to be careful how you react when you're at your lowest, how you act when you're at your lowest. Yeah. Right? And in our situation, right, we're in motorsports. We're on pit road. We're pit crewmen. Every stop's not going to go well. Okay. Mm-hmm. People are watching. That's something else I learned on my worstest of days in Dover. When I was in the bathroom doing a pit stop, when my wheel came off, I honestly thought that was a lot worse than the bathroom situation. But when all of that happened in 2 days, right, I wanted to just take my gun and throw it into the 50th row of the stands, right? Yeah. Stayed calm and understood that, okay, all right, I don't like this, but there's something that God needs to get out of this, and there's a reason he's taking me through this right now. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, he put me around people that weren't really mean to me, for loss of better terms, mean to me in that moment, right? Didn't yell at me, stuff like that. Well, at face value, but I didn't know I was still being watched in a way. I mean, I knew people saw that, but people were watching me in a different way. And if I would have reacted with the wrong attitude, the people at Roush who said, we saw all of that, but we also saw something else that no one else saw, right? I might not have had that conversation with them. They might have been like, oh, well, when stuff like that happens, he doesn't know how to act. Yeah. I wouldn't have been a blessing to people maybe, right? So I'm glad you brought that up. That reinforces something for myself. Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, I think we're definitely, called to act different and to, just like the word said, to be sober-minded, be watchful. Mm-hmm. And that's to ourselves too, not always on like outward to other people. And I think going back to 1 Thessalonians, what is your ambition in life as a believer? Paul urged them, what is your ambition? And, he said to live quietly, mind your own business, mind your own affairs, to work with your hands, so that you can walk properly before outsiders and be dependent on no one. But yeah, man, I think that, going through this has definitely helped me grow as a believer, to rely even more than I did before on the Lord and his timing and trust in him. We are currently going to fertility specialist, and we're praying that, some answers will be shown. We can figure out something, because we want so bad to be parents. And I know that whether we are or not, God's plan will be fulfilled, and we will do the best we can with what he provides us. And even though we're still praying for that child, we're still praying for a family, we're trusting in him to, to take us to wherever he's calling us.
We have to keep trusting him. We have to keep faith in him. I think that's huge, right? And I think he put me in the valley to remind me to keep faith in him. Another reason why I never wanted to leave where I was is because I never had faith that I could go elsewhere and do just as well, if not better.
Yeah.
And as soon as he shook me out of the nest that I was outgrowing, he sent me right to a place where I didn't think I would be good enough to be. May not in the flesh, but with him, we can do all things.
Absolutely.
We can do all things through Christ that gives us the what? The strength. Okay? And really, when Paul brought that out, he believed in himself before he even brought up Christ. When you put those two together, I mean, come on. So with him, we can do all things. I think I lost sight of that, right? I was a little blind. I didn't know I lost sight of it, maybe. But I lost sight of that. He took me right to a place where I thought I wouldn't do very well. Went out there and killed it. And he was like, see, just keep faith. If you hear nothing else out of this series, out of this show or whatever, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Have faith as small as a what? A who? A mustard seed.
Mustard seed, baby.
That's very small. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a mustard seed, right? But if you're holding one mustard seed in your hand, you can barely see it. That's how much faith you need to have in him.
Absolutely.
And you can move mountains, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, what I wanted, I guess, talk about a little bit is, like I said, I mean, with my situation, I was working for a team that I had been with for the past 3 years and had grown very comfortable being there, being with that crowd, even though it wasn't as good of a crowd for me. But I ignored a lot of stuff spiritually. I ignored a lot of stuff spiritually to be comfortable in a place that I didn't need to be. Had kind of rose to somewhat the top in a way and got even more comfortable. But again, the Holy Spirit was like, Keiston, your time here is up. I need you to go. I have better for you.
Yeah.
And even before this season started, he gave me a doorway out, an easy way out. And I was like, no, I'm going to stay here. And he was just telling me, hey, I have better for you, son.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know. So he stayed quiet. He was like, okay, let me stay there for a little bit. He allowed me to stay in the nest. And then when the storm came, Jonah was on that ship. And the city God wanted him to go to, he didn't want to go to. Let's just put it that way. He went where he wanted to go. I stayed where I wanted to stay, where I wanted to be. And when the storm came, I got tossed off of the ship, just like Jonah, got tossed off of the ship, swallowed by the whale, and he had to sit in fish guts, floating in fish guts. He realized, God, your will be done. I have to go where you need me to go. I have to have faith in where you need me to go, because he didn't believe that those people would turn a new leaf, right? I mean, they were going to get destroyed. Yeah. He was like, well, God, they're not going to listen to me anyway. What's the point of going? I'm not going there. He didn't have faith that God could do what? Could change the heart of any man, woman, boy, or girl, right? So that was my situation. I didn't have faith in a way that he would be able to use me elsewhere. Got tossed off the boat, swallowed up by the whale, sitting in fish gut, and just right out of that, the whale threw me up, and I went on to going where I needed to go, doing what he needed me to do, and I'm here sitting in front of you today as one of your teammates.
Yeah, man.
And he had to do that to me to reignite my faith. It was my lowest point ever. But while I was in that valley, I didn't have to go searching for victory. Victory was already there. I found a lot in the valley. I learned a lot in the valley, right? So I would say in conclusion, man, I mean, you don't have to go searching for victory. I entitled this series, How to Find Victory in the Valley. Hey, you don't have to go running and searching for it. He provides things for you while you're at your lowest. Then when you get back to the top of that valley, you have all you need for whatever is offered there, whatever comes against you, whatever you have to wrestle with. So you got anything on that, Chris? I mean,
no, I think that, as you say, like in conclusion, that what we can pull from this one is, just keeping that faith, man.
Yeah.
Keeping the faith, knowing that even though it's quiet, or you feel like nothing's happening, that he is working for you. He is working for us. He is moving mountains, and he will provide a way. And whether that is the desire of your heart or not, because if it's something that, we don't want, it's still from him. So it's still good. And we are called, as believers, to continue to follow and fight the good fight.
Continue to be an example for him wherever you may be in life.
Or whatever situation you fall into.
That's beautiful, man. Well, again, Chris, I thank you for coming on board and helping me out with this.
Man, it's been a blessing.
And I pray to my listeners that you guys will find peace wherever you may be, that you learn wherever you may be. And from us both, we hope that you guys will take this and find joy in whatever you may be in. Have faith. Keep the faith. Never lose the faith. Don't be like me. I lost some faith. Don't be like Jonah. He lost the faith. Keep the faith in him, and I guarantee you, whether you're in the lowest point of your life or at the highest peak, you'll be able to excel. Don't give up on God. Don't leave him. He'll never leave you. Stand for him. He always stands for you. Be blessed.